Hello, you wonderful people. So for today's video, I'm going to talk about Juna Crawford from Trails of Cold Steel. Now, this is going to involve me talking about spoilers from Cold Steel 3 and 4. It won't touch on anything from Trails into Reverie or Hajimari no Kiseki because I haven't played it, so I don't know the story. So but do know it will involve spoilers for 3 and 4, so you have been warned. So this video is mainly about something I saw like a while back on Reddit, which I thought was kind of an interesting point. Someone had made a post where they were talking about like, oh, like they like a lot of these characters, mainly like a lot of the female characters, oh, I like you, I like you, I like you, and they got to Juna and they were like, they had an issue with Juna. But to me, I think Juna is such an interesting character. Maybe like she probably rubs people the wrong way just with her introduction and with her having such a chip on her shoulder. Understandably so, like when you consider the circumstances of like, hey, she's from this nation that was its own autonomous state, and then her now she has to go to the academy, go to a new academy in the same country that invaded hers and took away its autonomy. I mean, there's layers upon layers to that too, because you later on find out she got in trouble because she was like standing up to like some Erebonian teacher that was teaching in Crossbell, and they basically took away a lot of her credits, but Claire got her transferred to the branch campus. So there was a lot she had on her shoulders at the time, and she even admits later on she took a lot, like Ring was kind of the representation of Erebonia. He's the Ashen Chevalier, he's the hero. Yeah, he saved her, but he was kind of a representation of a lot of things. A representation of Erebonia coming to steal her country. Yes, Ring didn't get involved until like after the annexation had already happened. He was just fighting Calvert off. Sure, even Ring's got his complicated feelings about that regardless, but he still just feels as involved in that just like he does with the Northern War situation. But Juna also admits that she blamed him because of her feelings of weakness in that regard of like, right, despite all my training, I couldn't do anything to save my siblings. It took the Ashen Chevalier stepping in to save me. So there's complex feelings, right? So like I said, people probably like might have had an issue with her there, but to me that's part of her growth, that she starts off there, and especially when you make so many parallels to even Gaius. Like Gaius is in a similar situation as her like Crossbell was always caught between Erebonia and Calvert, and Nord was in exactly the same situation, and Gaius came to see Erebonia as his second home, and I think on some regards so has Juna, because she's got so many of her best friends, so many people she's come to love and care about exist in Erebonia. So she doesn't have that anti-Erebonia, because she even says like, yes, she has issues with the country, but at the end of the day, it comes down to a people thing. So she's like, when I'm in the wrong, I'll admit I'm wrong, you know, and you know, I'll try and make an apology type of situation. I mean, really think about it. Like all of Juna's life up to that point, she only knew her country as the autonomous state it was. I mean, it had 70 years of being autonomous, and then just in one fell swoop, everything changed because of Belle, her dad, you know, Grimwood. I mean, the cult situation didn't help, but obviously everything mainly with the Croys and Grimwood and Azure is what really, it's like, right, if they had, she even says like, if they had never done what they did, who's to say? But it's like, right, there's so much behind the scenes with Ishmelga and Osborne, so it was only going to be a matter of time, and especially considering you had Ouroboros like pulling the strings in its own regard, because they're trying to get to the Great Twilight situation regardless. So it all fits into it, like it would have happened one way or another. But it's like, yeah, 70 years of this autonomy and it's going like that. You know, it's like, right, your parents, your grandparents have like known Crossbell. You're a native to Crossbell, so of course you feel that pride. I mean, even people who haven't lived there long like Randy find pride in Crossbell and its circumstances. So someone who's a native there, of course, you're young and you're passionate too. Your entire world is changing, like, you know, so it's understandable. But so to me, like, this is all leading into the points I'm trying to make. I kind of went on a whole tangent there, but it's the unique position that Juna is in, because it's something, I believe it was Gaius specifically who says it in the final dungeon, the Imperial Fortress in Cold Steel 4, that whereas Reen is the center to Class 7, Juna is the bridge that connects Class 7 to the outside world. And I mean, in so many regards, because obviously Juna is their connection to the SSS, because she's such a massive fan of the SSS and everyone involved. involved, and she was pretty tight-knit with them. I also love that it's like, we also think about too that Yuna's a retcon. Like, obviously they introduced her in 3, but they go back and add little elements, scenes with her or dialogue with her in Azure. Because to me, what makes Yuna such a key figure is that, I mean, when you think about that speech that she gave in chapter 2 when McBurn and Campanella are talking about everything, and you know, the fact is that she's like, I'm tired of hearing everything, and she's like, the fact is Crossbell won't take this lying down. Everyone that's connected, from the SSS to everyone that's fought Ario, Sergey, Noel, Lazzy, like, we're all here. We'll fight, you know, and obviously, sadly, her spirit was broken when she found out about Operation Birdcage. But the fact is that she stood back up and showed her pride when it came to them taking down the Ion at the end of the chapter. So it shows that leadership role that Yuna is capable of, but also you see that even more so when Rin is going. It's because Class 7 was in shambles. Like, they'd already been through that once before when they lost Rin at the end of Code Steel 1, and it was a month before they're all reunited. They were like, hell, they lost Rin, they lost Milliam, and they're all kind of lost without their center, because they always knew how important Rin was to them, but it's like, man, Class 7, we can't hold ourselves together when they're kind of drowning in that sorrow. But Yuna's the one that kind of told them, like, no, we need to kid it together, because everything that, you know who Rin is, like, he'll blame himself. He's there alone, blaming himself for all of this, blaming himself for the curse, blaming himself for Milliam. He's drowning in his sorrow. We all know Rin to be the self-deprecating person that he is, so we need to do this just as much for his sake. We have to hold, and she rallied everyone together. She led the charge on rescuing Rin. She's the one that led the charge to put new Class 7 back together. She went to get Ash. She went to get Mutant. I mean, obviously, Kurt and Altina were there as well, but she led the charge. She is... I mean, that's the interesting thing, because, like, despite where they started, her and Rin are such neat parallels to them. I mean, obviously, when you take New Class 7, they're amalgamation of so many different characters. So, obviously, she's a little Elisa, she's a little bit Gaius, she's a little bit Rin. Quite a bit Rin. So, that's why they're the parallels that they are. Once again, him being the center to Class 7, her being the bridge of Class 7. So, that's why I always kind of, like, someone kind of discounting Juna Crawford as a character, I feel like is very dismissive of just how much of a key role that character has in Class 7. Not just old and new, just Class 7 in general. Obviously, with a little bit, obviously it's not, I don't have the full context of it, but I do know Crossbell's circumstances come back up in Trails into Reverie or Hajimari no Kiseki, so I'm interested to see how her story develops even more going forward into that next chapter, because of what it means for her home in the end, and obviously the aftermath of what that means for her. It's definitely going to be interesting to, you know, kind of experience. Obviously, anyone that's able to translate, or at least able to translate it themselves, or has a copy of the Japanese version, or anyone that reads and understands Japanese already knows. But once again, I don't have that context, and I'm fine with that. You know, I'm excited when it comes out this summer to be able to really dive into that story, and especially in Yuna's case, see where she stands with the aftermath of everything with Erebonia, considering where things left off at the end of 4, but also Crossbell's future, which I know is a big part of Trails into Reverie / Hajimari no Kiseki. Like I said, this is just kind of a response to something I saw on Reddit like a while back that was just like kind of discounting Yuna's character, and I just kind of wanted to put my opinion out there. Obviously, you can agree, you can disagree. I'd actually love to get to know your thoughts. If you're well versed enough in the Cold Steel games, obviously do not include anything from Trails into Reverie. Once again, I don't want any spoilers for that. Please and thank you. Then I'd love to get to know your thoughts. Maybe you agree, like I said, maybe you completely disagree. I just love to get to know your thoughts about Yuna's character and her role in Class 7, just kind of her role in the overarching narrative that is the Trails / Kiseki series in that regard. But really, that's all I wanted to talk about. Until the next time we meet, be happy, be safe, live life to the fullest, and enjoy it. Good day, and good